Hello everybody, Abdullah Shamari here with you again. Today we'll be discussing another one of my long positions in the pharmaceutical industry, Phathom Pharmaceuticals. It's another pre-revenue company. However, they're in phase 3 clinical trials. We'll be going over the company's management, the pipeline drug, and why I invested in the company. If you aren't subscribed to my page, make sure to hit that subscribe button, crush the like button so that as many people as possible are able to see these videos. Comment with what your thoughts are, whether you agree or disagree, and make sure to sign up for my Patreon. The link is below in the description. You'll get insight into my watch list, my portfolio, live updates on research that I'm doing on a daily basis, as well as instant posts on my stock buys and sells each and every day. Phathom Pharmaceuticals started out as a private company. It was started by a few partners from Fraser Healthcare Partners. They were looking for an asset that they could potentially monetize as well as scale and take out to the public in order to be able to commercialize, etc. They were looking for 6 months to a year for any type of asset that they could potentially monetize. After about a year, in early 2019, they were able to find Vanoprazan, which is a pharmaceutical drug that Takeda Pharmaceuticals has commercialized in Japan. However, Takeda didn't want to build the infrastructure in the US, Europe, and Canada to be able to sell the products in those areas. So they licensed out the drug to Phathom Pharmaceuticals so that they could sell it and commercialize it. And then Takeda Pharmaceuticals would get a royalty as well as milestone payments throughout the commercialization process of the drug. Once the company was able to get FDA approval to go straight into phase 3 clinical trials, the company decided to go IPO. They prepared for the IPO, and in late 2019 they went public at about $20 a share. Currently the stock is trading at about $40 a share, so you can see that it's grown since then, currently at about 1.25 billion market cap. The company continues to work through phase 3 trials. They got delayed a little bit due to the coronavirus, as well as just the FDA being busy with a lot of the coronavirus vaccines, tests, etc., and getting all those through FDA approval. So it was halted for a while. However, the FDA approval process and clinical trials continued, and now the company is expecting to hear back results on their clinical trials in first half of 2021 or early second half of 2021, which will help to be able to push towards commercialization of the drug in late 2022 or potentially early 2023. One thing to point out is that the phase 3 trials and going directly to phase 3 trials was a huge step for Phathom Pharmaceuticals. Because the drug was already approved in Japan, they were able to get the FDA to get them to go directly to phase 3 clinical trials versus many drugs which has to go through preclinical, phase 1, phase 2. This took out years of clinical trials that they would have had to done and cut tremendous amount of time in the pipeline's forecast to be able to get the drug to be commercially sold throughout the US as well as in other countries, Europe and Canada. So this was a huge thing for Phathom, and just the fact that they're able to do this is completely different than most companies where they have to start research and then they get into preclinicals and then they have to go through all the different phases of clinical trials. In this case, they have a proven drug. They're able to work through phase 3 and then they should be able to get results here soon with regards to that and then get to commercialization. In addition, we already have a data set of how this drug is doing in Japan. As we can see here, based off of last year's data, about the drug sold about 725 million last year. Total sales were 725 million, and Phathom should be able to eclipse this. And this is with 5 years in the market for the drug. Phathom should be able to eclipse this because they're in the US market as well as Europe and Canada, which should be much higher than Japanese market. In addition, we have another data set which is AstraZeneca. They use a different type of drug or technology, which is PPI. It's been said that the PSAP technology, or the potassium competitive acid blocker, that Phathom Pharmaceuticals is using with the Takeda licensed drug is much better than the PPI and is able to deal with these gastrointestinal issues that people have, and it's a better therapeutic for this particular disease. We can see AstraZeneca With their solution, they're able to have 1.4 billion sales globally. Again, this is another data point to be able to show how much potential sales that Phathom could have once the drug goes commercial. Finally, when we look at the total addressable market for this drug, its potential of 5 billion to 6 billion in addressable market that they could have. And if this is the best drug out there, then they're able to potentially capture 50% or more of that market. Currently, companies trading at a 1.25 billion market cap. I think there's an additional 100% gain that's out there that the company should be, once they are commercialized, be at a 2.5 billion market cap. So this is one of the reasons why that I've held this company long term. I believe that they'll be able to capture much of that market with their drug, and because of the data point with Takeda, as well as looking at a competitor with AstraZeneca, there's a lot to show that this company will, once they get FDA approval, they'll be able to ramp up sales. To also address some of the downside risk with the stock, there could potentially be some speed bumps when it comes to the FDA approval in the phase 3 clinical trials. Just the fact that they went to phase 3 doesn't mean that they're going to do well in phase 3, and the fact that it got approved in Japan doesn't mean that it'll get approved in the US. This is some of the downsides, so we have to be aware of trial disappointment or failure to make a market approval, and they're also relying on a single product. So if that single product doesn't do well, basically the company is not going to be able to work through that. That's the only product that they have, and that's what they're really relying on. However, because it's approved in Japan, the likelihood of it failing in that respect is pretty low, but it is definitely a risk, and it's a centralization of risk because it's their single and only product. Overall, again, I'm very bullish on this stock. Make sure to check it out. Do your own due diligence on the stock. As always, make money, enjoy life. Peace.